For anybody that's dealt with the loss of a parent, this is something that maybe will resonate with you. The day before my dad died, I was at work and I was cooking at the time. So I was working in a restaurant and I had worked at this restaurant at that time. I had left where I was for a couple of years, a really good job at a country club. And I went to this place that was called Table and Tavern. And I was hoping that it would be a better situation. It would help me grow, take the next step. I was going to be learning how to order food and how to break down large cuts of meat and fish and do all this cool stuff that I didn't have a chance to do at the country club. So it was a good scenario and I was excited. And I got there and after about 5 minutes, I realized, holy shit, did I make the wrong mistake? The chef that I was working for, she was drunk or hungover every single day, skipped half the days. The GM was heavy into the nose nachos, if you know what I'm saying. Cocaine. He was doing a lot of cocaine. That's what I'm saying. And the restaurant was dirty. It was just a mess. Like everybody there it was just a disaster. There was one or two people that were good, but it was totally not the same place that I came from. And I didn't realize how great that I had it. So the day before my dad died, I was there at work and just, getting kicked in the nuts the whole day as usual. And I stepped outside to either call my dad or he called me or something. And I was just bitching, just unloading to him, venting about how much I hated this place and how mad I was. And I remember talking to my dad and he sounded off. Like he sounded like, you call someone on a phone and you get that robotic kind of noise and then you have to hang up and call the person back. That's what it sounded like, but it wasn't that. It was just my dad sounded off. And looking back on that, I have no idea if it was because it was just random or whatever, but I was so far up my own ass with how upset I was about this job that the last time I had a chance to talk to him was him doing what he did best, which was listen to me and try to help me through a situation. And he was trying to help me understand that I was there for a reason and just to be patient and let the dust settle. And the reason that I'm there will reveal itself soon enough and I'll learn what I can and I'll move on to the next place. I didn't want to hear it. I was outside by the dumpster and it was August. So, it was 110 in Texas and I'm just dog cussing. Not good. So the next morning, I'm at our house, my wife and I'm making breakfast and I get a phone call. And the second the phone rings and I look over and I see it's my mom, I knew what it was. And I had no inclination, like there wasn't a conversation before, earlier that morning or later that night or something. I just knew. Picked up the phone and I said, "Hi, Mom." And she said, "Hi, Justin, how are you?" And as soon as she said that, I could just hear, and I said, "Mom, did Dad pass away?" And she paused and said yes. And, we kind of talked for a minute or whatever. And then my wife jumped into superhero mode and helped us book plane tickets and did everything, canceled appointments and whatever. And I ended up calling work and had to tell them the news. And as I was making that phone call, it was pretty obvious that one of the reasons, if not the reason, that I was at this shithole of a restaurant was because of what I said to them, which was, my dad passed away. I need to go back up north and I don't know how long I'm going to be until I come back. And that was basically it. And had I been at my previous place, the country club, which I really liked and had a lot of fun working there, I think I would have been able to say, hey, can I get a week kind of a thing? But I was able to go up there for a month. And I remember once I was up in back home in Michigan, where I'm from, I called that restaurant and said, look, I need a full month. And they were like, a month? And I was like, yeah, if you need to fire me, go ahead. But I need to be here with my family. And I don't think I would have had that same freedom in my own mind to say that at the country club, because they had given me a really good opportunity and worked hard to really, to develop me as a cook and everything. So there was some sense of obligation, respect that I wanted to not be a total jerk. But for this, I was like, you guys can piss off. I need to be home with my parents or with my mom. So that's what happened. And I went up there, but the lesson for that, for me, and the lesson that I would convey to my daughter, or to anybody listening, all three of you, so thank you, would be a lesson of patience. And I think that sometimes so many of us are focused, so narrowly focused on our little world that we don't realize that there's other things at play in the universe. And I'm not trying to be too, weird podcast guy, but there's other things going on and there's other people in our orbit. And I should have just stepped back and let things play out without the resentment and without the frustration and without maybe the ego sense of like, I'm better than this place. And I think that's an important lesson to learn, that wherever situation in, you can either just wallow in it or you can make the best of it. So to me, the advice that I would give would be make the best of the situation. And I would tell that to my daughter. You're in a shitty situation. Doesn't mean you have to stay there, but for the moment, while you're in the situation, make the best of it, learn what you can from it, and then get the hell out as soon as you can, which is exactly what I did. And to cap this off, when I finally did get back, I went back to work there for like a week, and it was just worse than ever, and I was already checked out. And the only time in my life I had done this, I just walked in and I was like, this place is a disaster. Like, I quit and I left. And I got in my car and I went around to the parking lot and I forgot that I left my knife roll in the kitchen. So I had to drive all the way back around, walk back in the kitchen, awkward, and with my head down, get my knife roll, turn around and walk back out. So that moment that you hope for, where you get to tell your boss off and you storm out of the place because you quit, that happened to me. And then I had to come back in and get my belongings and then walk back out. So that was that was just wonderful. Love it.